All right, so let's go to the final part of this matchup, Vince, and this is scoring offense against scoring defense. This is a bit of an interesting one. So Notre Dame has obviously not been a great scoring defense this year or offense this year, and
Right.
that number right there at the top is incorrect. This is incorrect. This is supposed to be 88th.
Oh.
They rank 88th in scoring offense, so that'll be corrected for the online version of this breakdown. But they rank 88th in scoring offense, and it's really not even that good because they have two defensive touchdowns and a special teams touchdown this year. So
yeah,
they're not. I don't even think they're averaging right now 30 points a game on offense. Notre Dame. So obviously, last week was a step in the right direction. But it's still a long way to go, and this is one of those games where you kind of have to be on your game as an offense. You have to be on point. You can't say, hey, we're going to win 30-27. You have to be willing to shut them down. You have to be willing to score, in my opinion, to make this one happen.
Yeah, and I like I said before about the offense, I do feel like they're headed in the right direction. I think that
I was wrong. They are 48th. I was looking at total offense. Yeah, they are 48th.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, I got my numbers a little mixed up. So what I was looking at,
right?
Well, I should not doubt myself. What I was looking at was what their numbers are if you take the offensive away. They rank much lower. If you take the defensive and special teams touchdowns away,
of course,
they rank much lower. They're averaging 28 points a game purely on offense this season.
Right. And I feel like that number it can only grow based on what they've been doing, based on what we saw on Saturday. And again, it's a small sample size. It's one game, but based on the things that Brian Kelly was saying after the game, okay, I feel like they're going to keep on with that. So that's the that's the premise that I'm operating under, okay? I feel like they're a 35, 36 point a game type offense with the possibility of being more. And so they're pointing in the right direction here.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Notre Dame can score on this North Carolina defense. I do. Yeah. We talked about the rush defense, or the rush offense is trending in the right direction. I think the pass offense is trending in the right direction. The scoring offense is trending in the right direction. I was obviously not happy they didn't punch the Bauer interception into the end zone. That was disappointing when they were in the red zone. These red zone numbers aren't fantastic, right? They've literally been stopped 4 times in the red zone, which is not good. That puts them at 83rd in the country. That is just not good. And you'd like to see that touchdown percentage be higher, and it
took a hit this weekend.
It did.
Now, part of that too is you got to take away. This is why I wish that the NCAA didn't do this, but I understand why they do. You have to consider, because it happens to other teams, but they did take a knee in the red zone at the end of a game.
They did,
but to your point,
that counts.
You have the first drive where Kevin Austin drops the ball at the 5-yard line.
Were they in the red zone at that point?
Oh yeah, they were in the red zone.
I couldn't remember where they snapped the ball.
Yeah.
At.
Oh yeah, he drops the ball. It was a crossing route. He dropped the ball at the 5-yard line. They were definitely in the red zone.
Okay.
And then they settle for a short field goal that gets missed. You get an interception return that gets the ball to the 4-yard line. You have to settle for a field goal. That's the whole point about the USC game is they left a lot of points on the field. If you can capitalize on that this week, you think about those 2 drives, Vince. You completely was 17-3 at halftime against USC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should have got 7 on the first drive. That's
correct.
24. You should have got a touchdown instead of a field goal. You're up 28-3. That third quarter looks a whole lot different against USC.
Absolutely.
17-3 is 2 possessions, and because USC got the ball, right? It's 2 possessions and one. You just got to make one defensive stop, and we can tie this thing up, right? If you're looking from a USC standpoint,
and that's what they said on the TV broadcast as they had the ball at the end of the first half. They're like, they can go down and score here. This is a ball game again.
Yep. So you've got to get 6 in this game, and when you look at North Carolina, their red zone defense has been statistically pretty good. Their red zone defense is statistically pretty good, but nothing special.
Right. Exactly.
And if you look at it a little bit, it's been okay. Florida State was perfect, 3 for 3, 3 touchdowns, right? Georgia State doesn't have a very good offense. Virginia Tech doesn't have a very good offense. Georgia Tech's offense is not very good, especially at that time. And the funny thing is, Georgia Tech scored 45 points on North Carolina. They went 3 of 7 on touchdowns in the red zone in that game. 3 of 7. That game could have been a lot worse than it was. Notre Dame has to take advantage of that. They have to get 6. And they have to do so early. And they have to protect the football. That's the other big thing.
Notre Dame used to be so good in the red zone. They used to be so good in the red zone getting touchdowns. And the last 2 years, year and a half, they just haven't been as good at it. So that's just something that – and even I know
last year, that great offensive line, they weren't good. And last year's for the opposite reason. Here's the funny thing is, last year they would run the ball all the way down the field, get it in the red zone, and start
they
throwing.
Try to get cute. Yeah.
This year they throw the ball all the way into the red zone and then try to run on first and second down. Right. And it's like, know who you are. You didn't know who you were last year. You don't know who you are this year.
Just ask us. We can tell you.
Figure it out. Yeah, figure it out. But I feel like North Carolina to me is a team that has been very vulnerable to giving up points against good teams.
Yeah.
Good offenses, not even great offenses, just good offenses. They're a team prone to giving up big plays. Notre Dame is going to have to rip off some big plays. They're going to have to get 6 in the red zone. They're going to have to protect the football. And I think if they're able to do those things, I think it's advantage of Notre Dame. I mean, you could argue that North Carolina has a little bit of an advantage here, but their yards per play number over here, which, is obviously ranks higher than Notre Dame's, but part of that is because they held Georgia State to 3.5. Georgia State stinks. To me, they gave up 7.1 against Florida State, 7.3 against Virginia, 4.8 against Virginia Tech, which is okay. 5-3 against Miami, who came into that matchup struggling big time. So to me, this is a game where you've got to start fast. You got to make big plays and be successful. And I'll push back on this a little bit. High correlation with O-line and red zone success. Not really.
Because last year they didn't have it.
Yeah. Notre Dame had, in my opinion, the best offensive line in the country until Jarrett Patterson got hurt. Then they were top 5, and their red zone offense was not good last year. So no, and I'll just look it up so you have some. They were last year 84th in the country in red zone touchdown success, and they were 102nd in the country in overall red zone success last season with one of the very best offensive lines in the country. Here's what it is, Richard, and where I think that you are, where I go with you is a good offensive line is certainly a key part of that, but you have to know who you are. You have to be able to execute. You have to have a plan that a really good red zone plan. And to me, Notre Dame has their red zone offense, especially from the 15 to the 20, is too similar to what they do at the 50 with the pass concepts. It's a lot of horizontal. I hate horizontal stretches in the red zone unless you're playing a team that's giving you cover 0. That's it, because then you can kind of pick your matchup. Sure. A lot of teams play zone in the red zone, and so to me, they haven't had necessarily the great game plans for it. And the other thing too is where Notre Dame was great under Chip Long is when they had a really mobile quarterback. That's what helped their red zone. I mean, Brandon Wimbush was a phenomenal red zone player, and they had a phenomenal red zone in 2017. They had a pretty good red zone attack in 2019, if I remember correctly. Notre Dame ranked 10th in the country that year in red zone effectiveness, and they didn't have exactly a great offensive line that season. But what they had is they had a great red zone pass package that made it very successful. A lot of fades to, Chase Claypool. They had really good stuff. And then you used Ian Book's running ability to your advantage to create opportunity. So they're going to have to make some of those changes, and I think they'll be fine. And then to me, advantage Notre Dame, Vince, I think you are there in that as well. Advantage Notre Dame. Correct?
Oh,
just overall advantage Notre Dame.
I thought I was muted. I'm sorry. Yes, it's 100%.
You were muted.
Oh, you unmuted me. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely advantage Notre Dame. Yeah. I like where they're trending right now. It's absolutely advantage Notre Dame.
Yeah. And then Matt Baisley with a super chat here as we wrap up. I came in late, so apologies if addressed already. Thoughts on the line for this game? -3.5 feels like a little disrespect. New UNC record misleading. We didn't talk about the line because we rarely talk about the lines unless it's something absurd. I don't think 3.5 is something I'm going to get necessarily upset about because of the way they've been doing lines with Notre Dame all season. I mean, they were a touchdown underdog to Wisconsin. I stopped paying it. I don't rarely pay attention to lines anyway. I definitely stopped kind of paying attention when I saw that. So I would imagine it's going to grow a little bit as we get closer. But I think the thing about it is I still don't think people are believers in Notre Dame's offense. And 31 points against USC is not something that's going to make me a believer in Notre Dame's offense if I'm an outsider.
Nope.
And you're not going to win these games against North Carolina, USC, Virginia consistently if you're having to hold them to 16 points, because you're not going to do that every week. One of these teams is going to be able to score on you. Does Notre Dame have the offense to match that? So far this year, Notre Dame hasn't shown the ability to do that outside of the Florida State game, who's 3-4, 3-5. So I think that's probably part of it too. So it's appropriate to this matchup. This is the game where the Notre Dame offense has to show, hey, we've figured it out, we've arrived, and we're going to light this team up. And if they can light this team up, then I think you're going to see future spreads reflect that. But right now, in defense of the odds makers, you've got a team that can score going against a defense that has their best All-American player not playing, against an offense that hasn't shown the ability to light the scoreboard up.
Right.
I understand, as if I'm looking at this as someone who doesn't cover Notre Dame every single day, I actually somewhat understand that spread. And you know,
I didn't take into account the Kyle Hamilton factor. And I'm not saying that he's the difference in like 4 or 5 points or whatever, but
he could. I mean, it could be, a 10-point win turns into a 3-point win.
Right.
Because you get one more touchdown.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Scary.
So anyway, so that's it for today's show. We're going to be back tomorrow at 12:30 for the breakdown of the Notre Dame defense against the North Carolina offense. That's going to be a fun show because North Carolina has a very good offense, and when they're on, they are dangerous. And they've been a lot more inconsistent than last year, but they're still dangerous. They're still dangerous. So I look forward to breaking that one down. Matt says, well, I'm still betting on this one. Matt, since you joined late, I would encourage you to listen to the entire show. And I think if you listen to the entire show, you'll realize that we aren't going to push back on that. Right. I'm just trying to explain to you why I think the line is what it is.
I still like Notre Dame more than 3.5 as well. But still, I
understand the line. I do. And I expect that to grow as we get closer. But we'll have that breakdown, of course, predictions and analysis on Thursday. We'll have our Friday mailbag. Please sign up for Irish Breakdown. I took that banner down. It hasn't been up during the show for today. But obviously check out boards.irishbreakdown.com. Check that out. Got a lot going on. We have a ton of people sign up the last few days. Got some recruiting notes on there. We're going to have some breakdowns on there this week. It's been a lot of great conversation going on there. So make sure you join that part of our community. We appreciate everybody that has already signed up and appreciate everybody that's part of the show today. So that's going to be it. Give us a like, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Be ready to check with us tomorrow. And Matt Baisley says, I'll commit 10% of my winnings to IB. So, hey, get out a second mortgage, sell your car, put it all on there, and if you win, you give us 10%. Obviously, I'm joking. Do not do any of that.
No.
At all. But yeah, we appreciate you, Matt, and we'll hopefully see you tomorrow. We'll see all of you tomorrow. Vince, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, and check out irishbreakdown.com. Talk to you soon.